Okay, guys, today we're going to finish off the lesson that we were supposed to be doing last time. So just understand this is a continuation of what we were doing. That's why you don't have any extra notes today, because you've already taken the notes for this one. It was just in last time's lesson. Basically, because we did that practice quiz and took that extra time talking about it, we didn't get through the full lesson last time. We decided to break it into 2 lessons. So you're actually getting the second half of last time's lesson. That being said, what we're going to do today is part of your notes talked about the before and after situations. That's what we're going to be doing today. So all of these problems, you're actually going to end up doing 2 sets of tape diagrams. So again, marking your text, guys, please get used to this. This is not an optional deal. You are required and expected to be marking your text because it's going to help you pull out the information, especially on ones like today's problems, where there is so much information, you're going to get completely lost if you're not marking your text and keeping track of everything that you need to write down. So we'll start off just by reading this one, and please mark your text as I'm going along. So the Business Direct Hotel caters to people who travel for different types of business trips. On Saturday night, there is not a lot of business travel, so the ratio of the number of occupied rooms to the number of unoccupied rooms is 2 to 5. However, on Sunday night, the ratio of the number of occupied rooms to the number of unoccupied rooms is 6 to 1 due to the number of business people attending a large conference in the area. If the Business Direct Hotel has 432 occupied rooms on Sunday night, how many unoccupied rooms does it have on Saturday night? There's our question. Now, most of these, we're used to them asking now a whole series of questions. We're not doing that today. So we're actually just going to walk through all of this at once. From your notes, when we were looking at these, we said you need to set up a before and an after. Well, in this case, it gave us Saturday and Sunday. So that's what we're going to label our before and after. So we have our Saturday, and we have our Sunday. On the Saturday, what did they give us for our information? What was the ratio? Emma? 2 to 5, and that was what? What's 2, what's 5? Good. So I have 2 occupied and 5 unoccupied. I don't like using O, but occupied, it does make sense. Don't forget to identify your variable. So O is the number of occupied rooms, and U is the number of unoccupied rooms. So it should be relatively simple to draw. You're doing the 2 boxes on top for the occupied rooms. Why? Because that came first in our ratio. You're doing the 5 boxes on the bottom. Why? Because that came second for the unoccupied rooms in our ratio. They also gave us a ratio for Sunday night, didn't they? What is our new ratio on Sunday night, Sophie? 6 to 1. Is that still occupied to unoccupied? Yes. So I'm just going to change this up. So now it's 6 occupied to 1 unoccupied. I don't have to identify my variables again because I'm using the same variables, right? If you want to, that's fine, but that's honestly extra work you don't have to. As long as you've identified them once, you're going to be good. So I've now set up my before and after ratios. I've got my before ratio of 2 to 5, my after ratio of 6 to 1, my Saturday and Sunday. They always have to give us a third piece of information that is going to go into this tape diagram and help us figure out our ratio constant. Quite frankly, every one of these, the whole key is finding that ratio constant. Once we've done that, the rest of it is going to fall into place. What is the third piece of information in this case? Wasena, did you see it? On Sunday. So that tells me on Sunday, I have to go to the occupied rooms, and I know that this equals 432. Who does not see why I put that number there? Is there anyone that doesn't see? Thank you for being honest, Nora. So, oh, good. A couple of you. See, your honesty helps other people be honest about it. All I did, guys, is I looked at the problem. They told us right here. They said 432 occupied rooms on Sunday night. By building my tape diagram ahead of time, before I got to that key information, it should help me figure out exactly where that goes, right? So I know my occupied rooms on Sunday night has to be 432. Make sense? That now tells me what I need to divide by to get my ratio constant, because I can now easily see how many boxes go into that 432. How many boxes is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, honestly, you can count them if you need to. Does that make sense? Now I'm just doing the math. So it's 432. I'm dividing it into the 6 boxes to figure out what goes into each box. I'm going to get 7, subtract 42. Gives me a 1. I bring down the 2. 6 goes into 12 twice. Came down to 0. So, and I'd like you guys to go ahead and label this to help you understand why you're doing that. That is my ratio constant. Once I have my ratio constant, what do I do with it, Mateo? Put it in each box. So every box gets a 72. Now here's one of the things I don't necessarily like about this lesson. They've actually designed all these problems to make this happen. But here's a key factor in this. Did my hotel change? Still talking about the same hotel, right? Did they do any additions overnight? Or take away any rooms overnight? No, so I have the same number of rooms, right? And the ratios, I have 2 and 5, so that's a total of 7 boxes. After I have 6 and 1, that's a total of 7 boxes. So did my numbers change at all? No, I have the same number of boxes and the same number of rooms. So what that allows me to do is, because nothing changed, I can actually also write my ratio constant on Saturday, because nothing changed. So that means my ratio constant here is also 72. So now, how many occupied rooms did I have on Saturday? Wesley? 144. How many unoccupied rooms did I have on Saturday? Mateo? How did you get that? Good. So for those of you that didn't hear him, he said, well, this was 6 boxes, was 432. I know every box is 72. That one had 1 less, so I just subtracted 72 from 432, and I got 360. Great way to do it. You could also just said 5 times 72. Or you could have doubled the 144 and then added 72 to that. There's a lot of different ways. And then my unoccupied on Sunday would have been 72. So what was our question? Asena? So what's the answer? Good. So we do that in a full sentence since we're dealing in word problems. There were 360 unoccupied rooms on Saturday. Does that make sense, guys? Who's still struggling on this? Please be honest. Okay, just a couple. Good. Let's do one more together, see if this can help you. And I'll be honest, guys, starting with marking your text is going to help make a lot more sense out of all of this, because it's going to pull out that important information. So number 2, Peter is trying to work out by completing sit-ups and push-ups in order to gain muscle mass. Originally, Peter was completing 5 sit-ups for every 3 push-ups. But then he injured his shoulder. After the injury, Peter completed the same number of repetitions as he did before his injury, but he completed 7 sit-ups for every 1 push-up. During a training session after his injury, Peter completed 8 push-ups. How many push-ups was Peter completing before his injury? So there's our question. We'll box that. So breaking this down, we have 2 factors, right? We have before his injury and we have after his injury. They gave us information for each, didn't they? So before his injury, what was it looking like? Good, Wesley. 5 sit-ups for every 3 push-ups. So my tape diagram should be relatively simple. I've got 5 and then 3. And that is sit-ups to push-ups. So S is the number of sit-ups, and P is the number of push-ups. Okay? So we had 5 and 3. What happened after? Aaron? 7? After it went to 7 to 1. So 7 to 1. And then this again is S and P. I don't have to re-identify my variables because I've already identified them. Now, they always have to give us that last piece of information that ties it all together. What was it in this case? Emma? 8 push-ups win, because that's also really important. So we've got 2 tape diagrams, right? 8 push-ups after. So I go to my push-ups line after, and I said, okay, that is 8. So guess what? They just gave us our ratio constant, didn't they? Because how many boxes are there? It's only 1 box. So for 1 box to equal 8, what has to go in that box? 8. So I now know in the after diagram, every box gets an 8. So how many sit-ups did he do before after? Yes. 56. 7 boxes of 8. Does everybody see that? Now here's one of the other big pieces. It told us he did the same number of repetitions before and after, right? And I had the same number of boxes. I had 8 boxes before, 8 boxes after. So if I have the same number of repetitions and the same number of boxes, that tells me my ratio constant can transfer over. So I can now put that ratio constant in all of these boxes as well. So how many sit-ups was he doing before? Who was that? Aaron? What do you get? For sit-ups? What did you say? 40. I thought you said 20. No. That's why I was like, what? Okay. How many push-ups did he do? That's why I asked twice, Aaron, because I was like, he sounds like he's know it. Madison? 24. What was our question? Losena? Push-ups before. So how many was it? What was it? 24. So he was doing 24 push-ups before the accident. There's our answer. Do we need to do anything else? Anything else we need to do, guys? Nope. that's everything. It's starting to make sense. Okay, we really want to give you guys a chance to practice this. So, let's turn the page. I didn't ask if you wanted to. I said we wanted you to. Okay, there are 3 problems on this page. We're going to give you guys 20 minutes to work this out together. So you can work together as a table if you want, but we're going to give you, actually we'll basically probably give you right up almost to lunch. Okay? Okay, so about half of you were able to finish this beforehand. I'm just going to go through real quick. Guys, please mark your text. It's going to make all of this much easier for you. Follow the steps. If you'll go through the procedure and actually draw the stuff out, it's going to make it far easier for you to find that ratio constant and get your answers. So as we're going, Tom and Robert brothers like to make bets about different contests before the last bet. The ratio of the amount of money, excuse me, of Tom's money to the amount of Rob's money was 4-7. Rob lost the latest competition. Now the ratio of the amount of Tom's money to the amount of Rob's money is 8-3. If Rob had 280 before the last competition, how much does Rob have now that he lost the bet? There's our question. So we have a before the bet and an after the bet. Before the bet, here's where it was 4-7. We gave it to you right here. Meaning I have 4 boxes on top, 7 boxes on bottom. Please make sure that your boxes line up, guys. And make sure they're big enough for you to actually put numbers in them. I've seen some of you that are drawing like minuscule little boxes that I can't even tell the boxes, let alone put numbers into them. Don't forget to label them. Tom came first, so he gets the first one. Rob came second, so he gets a second. It is literally this easy, guys, to do this translation. So T is Tom's money. R is Rob's money. After the bet, that ratio changed. It's now right here, the 8-3. So now I'm going to change my boxes. It's 8 on top, 3 on bottom. But it's still Tom and Rob, so I don't have to do any additional identifying. We always have to find that last piece of information. In this case, it was that Rob had 280 before the last competition, meaning Rob, before the competition, had $280. Is there anyone who doesn't understand what has happened so far? So everybody's tracking? Okay, here is your final step. As long as you can get to this point, guys, this is literally half of the credit for the test. Finding your answer is just the other half. Now what I need to do is take that 280. How many boxes did Rob have? Kendall? How many boxes did Rob have? What am I dividing it by? 7. I am seeing some of you who are still struggling on your division. Make sure you write a number above everything. Miss McShann does a good job of even writing it if it's a 0 at the start. I tend to skip that one, but make sure you do it at the end, because that end one really matters. This, guys, what I have just found is my ratio constant. Once I have my ratio constant, now it goes inside every box. This is why they need to be big enough for you to actually write inside of them. Mine are big enough. Okay? So, and you can always double check. 7 boxes of 40 gives me 280. So that looks good. Now, because they have the same amount of money and I have the same number of boxes, that ratio constant also switches to after. So I can now put that ratio constant in all of these boxes as well. And I now know Rob had 3 boxes of 40, so he is down to 120. So Rob had $120 after the bet. Full sentence answer. Any questions on number 3? Okay, let's look at number 4. A sporting goods store ordered new bikes and scooters. For every 3 bikes ordered, 4 scooters were ordered. However, bikes were more popular than scooters, so the store changed the next order. The new ratio of the number of bikes ordered to the number of scooters ordered was 5-2. If the same amount of sporting equipment was ordered in both orders and 64 scooters were ordered originally, how many bikes were ordered as part of the new order? So there's our question all the way at the end. But we now have it set up. So I have a before, or the original order, and an after. So after they figured out what was actually popular. Before, it was 3 bikes for every 4 scooters. So we're going to do 3 to 4. 3 to 4. 4 is on the bottom, sorry. And that is going to be, again, in order, bikes to scooters. So bikes to scooters. B is the number of bikes. S is the number of scooters. After the order, they changed it to 5 to 2. So now it's going to be 5 and 2. But it's still bikes and scooters. Our last piece of information was right here, 64 scooters originally. Is that the before or the after? Before. So I know before my scooters was 64. I now have the information to find my ratio constant. How many boxes were there for the scooters originally? 2? 4. So I'm going to take my 64, divide it by 4. It's going to go once. Gives me a 2. Bring down the 4. That's going to go 6 times. So that was 16. So I now have my ratio constant. Every box gets a 16. Okay, it changes new order, but the number, same amount of sporting goods, same number of boxes. So that means my ratio constant transfers to the after. So now I have 16s everywhere here. I want to know how many bikes were or are part of the new order. So 5 times 16 gives me 80. 16 times 5, because I have 5 boxes, 80. So there were 80 bikes in the new order. There's our answer. Questions on number 4. Okay, let's knock out the last one. Number 5. At the beginning of grade 6, the ratio of the number of advanced math students to the number of regular math students was 3 to 8. However, after taking placement tests, students were moved around, changing the ratio of the number of advanced math students to the number of regular math students to 4 to 7. How many students started in regular math and advanced math if there were 92 students in advanced math after the placement test? So here's our question. How many students started in regular math and advanced math? That's the question we need to answer. We have a before the placement test and an after the placement test. Before the placement test, our ratio was 3 to 8. So I've got 3 advanced math students. Wow. 3 to 8. And that is the advanced math to regular. So A is advanced math. And R is regular math. Okay.
afterwards, that ratio changed to 4:7. So it's going to be about the same. But now we're changing up a little bit closer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Advanced to regular. Our last piece they gave us, there were 92 after the placement test. So a lot of people messing this up because all the other ones, we gave you a number off of the first one. So a lot of people are trying to divide by 3 instead of 4 because they put it on the regular, the before instead of the after. So 92, how many boxes do I have for those advanced math students? 4. So I'm going to divide that by 4. It's going to go twice. Bring down my 2. It's going to go 3 times. Gives me a ratio constant of 23. Once I have my ratio constant, it goes in every box. Did I lose any students before or after the placement test? No, I just rearranged them, right? And I have the same number. I have 11 boxes here, 11 boxes here. That means that my ratio constant transfers over to the before as well. So I can now figure out how many advanced and regular math students there were before we did the placement test. So 23 times 6, or times 3, sorry, gives me 69. 23 times 7 gives me 161. So there were 23 times 7, right? 8. Oh, it is 8. Ms. McShann was doing these earlier, so 24, 161, 84, right? So there were 69 advanced math and 184 regular students before the test. Any questions on any of those 3 problems? Let's do a quick thumb meter, guys. Give me, how we doing? Overall, pretty good. A few in the mediums. No downs. At least there's no downs. That's a good sign. Sideways? Sideways is okay. I can deal with sideways. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and switch over real quick to the homework. Page 23. Page 23 is your homework. Really big one on this is make sure you're marking your text. We had 9 maple and 5 oak trees before, and then there's a bug problem. New trees were planted. We now have the same number. That's actually really key. The new ratio of maple to oak is now 3:11. So you're going to have a before the bug problem and after the bug problem. Find your 2 ratios. Make sure you answer the correct question. Second one. We have middle and high school students, but always has the same maximum capacity. The ratio of middle to high was 1:8. It's now changed to 2:7. Key there, the number is always the same. So that means that once I find my ratio constant, it'll go over. You have plenty of room down here to do all of your work. Make sure you've drawn your tape diagrams for both. Okay, really quickly, while we are on the recording, we are going to pass back your quizzes. I want to go through the assessment corrections with you guys before I show the rest. Assessment corrections are really easy, guys. You're going to put in, here's your required fields. You'd have to do the name, what the assessment is. In this case, it was quiz 1.1. You do your original assessment. You don't put anything in those 2. That's from Mrs. McShann and I. Your due date on this one is 6 October. If you're A day, it's going to be 8 October if you're B day, because you get 2 weeks after we give it to you to make it. Make sure you put in your class period. You guys are A3. When you are filling out your corrections form, you must put in the question number that you missed. You must do some self-evaluation. Why did you miss it? A lot of you, I didn't simplify. I didn't know I needed to label both of them. I didn't follow directions, but let us know what happened. Show your work. Do the correct thing, given whatever the problem is, and then make sure your new answer is clearly stated. Once you have done that for every problem that you've missed, you must staple this form to the front of your test and hand it back in for us to grade it. Okay? So I'll go over that real quickly for you guys again. I just want to make sure it's on the video. Any questions on what I've covered on this so far today?